Remember earlier this year when Rachel Notley banned the Rebels journalists from attending any press conferences or other media events held by the government of Alberta? First, they dispatched armed sheriffs to kick out our bureau chief, Sheila Gunn-Reid, from the legislature.
Accreditation for today's event?
We already spoke to Darcy Henton. He said there should be no problem to come in. What? Sorry, why is that? Sorry, why?
Then they actually sent us an official letter signed by a Justice Department lawyer saying that all Rebel journalists and anyone even connected to us was officially banned from everything forever. You know what came next. Media from across the country, even those who don't like us much, were shocked by this third world style attempt at censorship. Even the Globe and Mail wrote a national editorial about it. In the end, Rachel Notley was shamed into backing down. Oh, she hated that. Well, here's the news. Remember how Notley slithered out of that mess? She said, we're going to appoint an independent, retired, well-respected, neutral party to review what we did and give us advice on how to handle the media going forward. So she hired this woman, Heather Boyd, a retired editor of the Canadian Press, to write a report. She was paid $10,000 for a couple weeks' work. A nice job if you can get it. And so Rachel Notley just paid her way out of a problem with taxpayers' money. She let Boyd take the hot potato and cool it off. She gave the media something else to focus on. And she kept me busy because I spoke to Heather Boyd on the phone at length. She assured me she was very independent and neutral. She promised me she was. She promised me she had an open mind and had no conflict of interest. That's what she said. In fact, we spoke at some length. She wanted to know all about the Rebel. And after she assured me she was trustworthy and neutral, I actually sent her confidential business documents. Remember, it was about showing that we were legitimate journalists and a legitimate company. Now, I maintain that we don't need anyone's approval to call ourselves journalists, not Notley's, not Boyd's. But I thought it was still worth some of my time and effort to show Boyd just how legitimate we were and how vindictive Notley was being. So I sent her corporate documents and employee manuals. I gave her detailed circulation and viewership numbers. I gave her confidential business information based on her explicit written promise to me that it would be kept confidential, as in wouldn't be shown to the government. Remember, she was a neutral party to sort of arbitrate this dispute, almost like a mediator. So I could talk with her very candidly and she would be like a referee. Now, last month when Boyd's report came out, it was weird. I mean, her report was 122 pages long, but 104 of those pages were just copying and pasting things from the internet. She only wrote 18 pages for $10,000. What a scam. But even in those 18 pages, she said strange things. She recommended that instead of the government doing the gatekeeping itself, like they had with the sheriff and the Justice Department lawyer, she recommended that the government delegate that gatekeeping function to some journalists to do it. So we at the Rebel could be banned by our competitors. How weird is that? And then even weirder, Heather Boyd recommended that the government pay those journalists to do the gatekeeping for the government. Can you imagine? The government paying cash to working journalists. Anyways, what a laugh. 10 grand flushed away, but Notley got herself out of a pickle. Well, then this week came, and Heather Boyd, that same neutral party, that independent former journalist, she just took a six-figure job in the NDP government, in their propaganda department. So much for neutral. She's an NDP hack now, a partisan. All of those business confidences she pumped from me, that she promised in writing to keep secret, well, she has them, and she is the government now. Her promises to me, well, she's an unethical liar. But it's worse than that. See, Boyd didn't just get her appointment after the fact as a gross political reward. Here's the key fact. Heather Boyd had applied to that government job on February 10th. So she had told the NDP she wanted to work for them. And on February 17th, that's when she was appointed by Notley to handle our case for 10 grand. And neither Notley nor Boyd ever disclosed that conflict of interest. That Boyd had expressed interest in working for Notley, had applied for the job, and that, of course, the decision to hire her had not yet been made. So obviously, how Boyd handled the Rebel would be observed before Notley made the decision to hire her. All of this was kept secret. Of course it was. It was a gross conflict of interest. Heather Boyd was never independent. She was never neutral. She was never unbiased. She wanted to work for Notley. Notley held power over her, the power to say yes or no to her job application, depending what she put in the report. This was a sham review. And that hour-long conversation where Boyd was asking me all sorts of questions, it wasn't so she could make a thoughtful report. Her report was a joke, slapdash, 18 written pages for 10 grand. No, that was to pump me for information to use in her new position as the NDP's point man on media censorship. I wrote to Boyd demanding to know why she deceived me. Here's what she wrote back. She wrote, I was indeed an independent contractor at the time I was researching and writing the report. Yes, I had applied for various positions with various organizations. I had no reason to believe I would end up in the job I now have. I point out that it is a nonpartisan position with the Public Affairs Bureau. What a little liar. What a deceiver. She told me she was independent, but now she's claiming, oh, no. She just meant she was an independent contractor, not an employee. It was just a description of her tax status. She never meant to pretend she was independent, as in fair or neutral. What an unethical little liar. She says she had no reason to believe that she would end up in her job. Oh, it just fell into her lap. Except that she had applied for that job the week earlier and was given a $10,000 interim contract immediately. What an unethical little liar. Oh, and my favorite part, that the Public Affairs Bureau of the government is neutral. It's not partisan. What an unethical little liar. Heather Boyd is an unethical little liar. I guess she'll fit in just right with Rachel Notley and her corrupt NDP. Hey, if you haven't signed it yet, will you sign our petition to Rachel Notley? Tell her to keep her dirty little hands off the free press. Click here or visit notleyisabully.ca. Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.